Yesterday, Donald Trump unveiling his tax plan. The plan that he unveiled, to be honest with you, looked a little bit different than the one he talked about the previous night on 60 Minutes. Looked just a little bit different. And joining us to talk about the Trump tax plan, what they have seen in this is Kyle Pomerleau, an economist with the Tax Foundation and the Center for Federal Tax Policy. Kyle, welcome to the show today. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Appreciate you coming on today to talk about this. You guys must be awfully happy, and I know I am, that finally these candidates, no matter how you feel about the Donald Trump plan, the tax plan, at least this may force some of the candidates to start unveiling tax plans and talk about tax policy in this campaign.
Yeah, it's great that candidates are finally talking about tax policy. Donald Trump is actually the fourth candidate to release a comprehensive plan. I think Rand Paul, Jeb Bush, and Marco Rubio came before him, but having more people talk about tax policy is great, I think, for taxpayers because we get to hear about what they're going to do to fix the code, but it's also great for me because I get to talk about tax policy more frequently.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, break this down for us. Trump's tax plan that he unveiled yesterday, what are your thoughts and what do people need to know about it?
Yeah, so there are two pieces here. So there's the individual side and then there's the business side. Most of the meat is on the individual side. So what he's doing here is he's lowering tax rates. So the top marginal tax rate at the federal level will decline from about 40% to 25%. But not only that, he's increasing what's called the standard deduction, which means he's increasing the amount of tax-free income that people can earn. And the result of this is a very substantial tax cut for individuals. On the business side, of course, he's cutting the corporate tax rate and business tax rates to 15%, which will be a large tax cut. So overall, he's looking to really slash the amount of federal revenue that comes into Washington.
There were concerns yesterday, and I think it's a mix of concerns. One part of the concern is from people who just don't like Donald Trump. The second part was, I think that after his interview on 60 Minutes, where it sounded like he's going to raise taxes on the wealthy, lower taxes for everyone else, people were worried about that. But once this plan got released, people started to settle down, it seems like, about this plan, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So on Sunday, before the release, we got the impression that this plan was going to not necessarily cut taxes across the board. It was going to raise taxes on some people, cut taxes on others. But when this tax plan was released, what we saw is just across-the-board tax cuts for everyone. And actually, the largest tax cuts go to the wealthy, not to the middle class or low-income individuals.
In Trump's plan that he released, he talked about how he was going to get rid of some credits in some of these loopholes or close some of the loopholes. Do we have any specifics on which ones are going to be closed and which loopholes are going to be closed, which credits are going to be done away with? Do we have any of that yet?
So there are a few details out there. He's going to strengthen or enhance the current limitation on itemized deductions. He's also going to phase out the personal exemption, which will increase taxes for some people. He also is going to close the carried interest loophole, which is used by a lot of hedge fund managers. Now, yes, he's doing that, but that's just a few pennies compared to the trillions of dollars the rest of the plan is throwing around. So, yes, there are some loopholes or deductions that are being limited, but the rate cuts are so substantial that at the end of the day, the wealthiest are still going to be, their tax bills are still going to be lowered substantially. Middle-class tax bills still going to be lowered substantially, and lower-income tax bills lowered substantially.
I had a question that was sent in to me. Was there anything mentioned about the child tax credit?
So he has stated this after the fact. Both the child tax credit and the earned income tax credit remain in their current forms.
When it comes to tax policy, and I've heard this discussed, and this is something that was brought up even during the Obamacare debate, 50% of the country or close to 50% of the country not paying anything in taxes. Politically, It sounds good, but it plays well politics-wise. When you can tell people you're not going to pay anything, people seem to like that. How does that play in the real world? Is that a good thing for 50% of the country not to pay anything in taxes?
So I think some people have concerns about that. I don't know how strong these concerns play out in reality, but the concern is this, that if a substantial number of people are not paying individual income taxes, they may not necessarily care about the burden of government overall. So the government decides to increase the scope of Medicaid or Medicare or Social Security. Well, maybe they won't care as much because their income tax bill is zero, no matter how much spending the federal government is doing. It's only the other half of the people that are paying taxes. But one thing to consider is that we're just talking about the individual income tax. People end up paying lots of different taxes. So it is a concern, but I'm not sure how strong that concern really is.
We're visiting with Kyle Pomerleau, Tax Foundation. You said that Trump is fourth candidate to unveil a tax plan or talk tax policy. How does Trump's plan compare to some of the other candidates?
Yeah, so I guess the biggest or the easiest place to start is the cost of some of these plans. So far, the three previous candidates, Paul, Rubio, and Bush, have released plans that were tax cuts. They ranged from about $3 trillion in the case of Paul, up to about $6 trillion in the case of Rubio. Well, Trump's plan sort of leaves those far behind, and Trump's plan is estimated to cost about $10 trillion over the next decade. Very, very far from revenue neutral, as he claimed, and that's about a quarter of federal tax revenue over the next decade would be eliminated.
Very interesting. Kyle, tell folks a little bit more about the Tax Foundation and where they can find more information, because I know you guys are keeping track of all the presidential candidates and what their tax policies look like.
Yeah, so the Tax Foundation is a nonprofit education and research organization based in Washington, D.C., and our goal is basically to educate taxpayers about good tax policy and the cost of government through taxes. And if you want to learn more about tax policy in general and see where all the candidates stand on tax policy and their plans, we have a website, taxfoundation.org.
All right, Kyle Pomerleau, we'll be in touch. I hope to have you on throughout the campaign and election season just to talk to us about tax issues and what the candidates are saying. Great.
Well, I look forward to it.
All right, Kyle, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
All right, that's Kyle Pomerleau. Taxfoundation.org is the website where you can go and find out more information, interesting thoughts. And, you know, the one thing that I think people are seeing with the Trump tax plan that was released yesterday, it is better than what he mentioned on Sunday, which makes me wonder, how soon did they finish this? I think Trump taped his interview with 60 Minutes on Wednesday. It's almost like they did that, and his advisors went, okay, that didn't sound real good. Let's go back and redo some stuff. Because the Trump tax plan that was talked about Sunday, nothing like the Trump tax plan that was released yesterday.